Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday. We're so happy you all are here. We're going to get started in just about 1 minute, but in the meantime, we'd love to hear in the chat box what organization are you with and what is your favorite thing about spring? So, right now, we're based out of Charleston, West Virginia, and the sun is shining. It's beautiful. So, I love taking walks in the spring. So, go ahead, get comfortable, and introduce yourself, and then we'll get started. All right, so you just joined us for sharing our favorite thing about spring, and it's good to see you again, Vanessa Van Gilder. I saw you last week, and she said her favorite thing is the warm weather. And then Chloe from the YMCA of Charleston enjoys the warm weather too. So I feel like we're all on the same wavelength with that. And Tammy agrees, sun. So I think we're all feeling these warm weather vibes today. So while you all get started, introducing yourself, I'm just going to get started. So, welcome to today's Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday. I will be your host. My name is Dana Bryant. I've been here at Volunteer West Virginia for over 10 years. I love what I do, and I'm an AmeriCorps alum, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we're also joined today by Cameron Wagner. She's our AmeriCorps program officer, and she is an AmeriCorps alum as well. So if this is your first time attending our webinar, welcome. This is part of the Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday series. This is a free training we provide every month where we explain our programs, network, provide trainings, and most of all, we have fun. So this will be a really laid back use of an hour. So just go ahead and relax. You don't need to take notes. I will send out a copy of this recording and the slides from today's presentation after we wrap up today. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and I'll do my best to answer them. And if I don't get to them in the moment, I'll answer them at the end. So we have some really great topics coming up if you haven't signed up yet. In April for National Volunteer Month, we have Celebrating Volunteers, Volunteer Recognition Tips and Tricks. And then in May is one of our most popular topics. It's our free grant writing training. This will be a special 2-hour training. So if you haven't attended, be sure to sign up for that. And it's going to be with Nikki from the Grant Advantage. She's wonderful. And then Nikki will be joining us again in June, and she's going to be sharing the top 8 mistakes made after winning the grant. So that's a secret sneak peek of behind the scenes mistakes you don't want to make. So be sure you sign up for that. And then in July, we're going to be talking about nonprofit board leadership. So we have all kinds of great training topics. It's going to go all throughout this year. So you can see the full schedule on our website, volunteerwv.gov. So I just wanted to say Happy AmeriCorps Week. If there's any alums or currently serving members, you can do a shout out in the chat. I already see some familiar names. So I know Dale is an AmeriCorps alum. We have Chelsea Shamlin. She's one of our program managers for an AmeriCorps program in West Virginia. So if you're an AmeriCorps member or an alum, we just wanted to thank you. So here's a little bit of an overview of today's webinar. We are going to be talking about our AmeriCorps stories, so Cameron and myself, and then we're going to learn a little bit about the history of AmeriCorps in West Virginia and in Appalachia. And then we're really going to jump into the nuts and bolts of AmeriCorps. We're going to do AmeriCorps 101, and this is where we're going to explain all the AmeriCorps programs available to you all, and then the benefits of the AmeriCorps programs, and then lastly, how to get involved. So whether you want to sign up for AmeriCorps or receive an AmeriCorps member or an AmeriCorps team, we're going to be talking about that at the end. So just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Martinsville and the northern panhandle of West Virginia. I went to school at WVU and I never knew what I wanted to do after I graduated. I used to joke I wanted to be a nun all the way to a flight attendant. So I really didn't have a grasp of what I wanted to do. So after I graduated college, I joined AmeriCorps NCCC, and we're going to talk about that more today. And through that program, I was able to travel where all these little pink hearts are. And the way the program is, every month you travel to a new volunteer project. So in the right-hand corner, you can see a picture of me building houses in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I had such a great experience with AmeriCorps NCCC. I thought I'm going to move back to West Virginia. It was never in my mind that I would do that, but I thought I loved living in the Midwest, so I'm going to move back here. And to make a long story short, I moved here for an AmeriCorps position, and I've been here ever since. So I've been here for 15 years. AmeriCorps brought me back to my home state and taught me everything I needed to do and really built my career. So when I moved here, I was an AmeriCorps Vista at the Rock Lake Community Life Center in South Charleston. If you're wondering why there's a picture of the pool, it used to be like the largest pool on the East Coast. And then we turned it into a community center. And now I'm happy to share that it is housing for women in recovery. So it's been a really cool full circle moment. And I owe my whole career to AmeriCorps. It's touched every aspect of my life. And now I'm just going to ask Cameron. She's going to share a little bit about her AmeriCorps experience with Energy Express.
Yeah, so I was in AmeriCorps Vista for Kanawha County Extension, and I worked with the 4-H program. I grew up in the Kanawha County 4-H program, so it was really special to be able to do my service with that organization. And what you see on the screen here is a recent spotlight that one of our AmeriCorps programs, Energy Express, did on me. So I attended Energy Express as a child. I participated in this AmeriCorps program. And then while I was working with Kanawha County Extension, I actually helped host a site here for Energy Express in Kanawha County. So it was really special to get to experience Energy Express as a child, and I have many fond memories of that program. And now, as the program officer here at Volunteer West Virginia, I get to support that. So just like Dana, my AmeriCorps experience eventually led to a full-time position with my organization as the 4-H program assistant. And now I'm here at Volunteer West Virginia. So it's been a huge part of my life, and it's really helped me get my career started. So I'm forever grateful for AmeriCorps.
Thanks, Cameron. So we have a lot of common themes in our story that AmeriCorps helped us find our career and get us to where we're at today. So whether you want to switch your career or you have a child that you want to help join AmeriCorps, there's an option for everyone. So let's learn a little bit more about AmeriCorps. So you might be surprised to know that AmeriCorps has a deep-rooted history in West Virginia and Appalachia. So we like to say that the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC of the 1930s and the 1940s, is AmeriCorps' grandparent. And that's really where the idea of public service started. So the way this program worked, it was during the Great Depression, and they wanted to put young men to work. So they developed CCC camps all across the country, and there were several CCC camps in West Virginia. So there were 67 camps here, and over 55,000 young men worked in West Virginia. So the idea behind that was they helped to build hundreds of bridges, millions of trees, and develop 30 state and national parks in the country. And they built thousands of cabins, picnic shelters, lodges, park furniture, lakes, ponds, swimming pools, and much more. So this weekend we were at Babcock State Park, and I'm sure some of that was built by the CCC. And that's kind of where the idea of public service really blossomed. And then it flourished into AmeriCorps Vista in the 1960s. So that's when AmeriCorps originally started. And the thought behind that was it stands for Volunteers in Service to America. And John F. Kennedy wanted to have a domestic Peace Corps in the United States. So he said, we have a Peace Corps overseas. Let's have one in the United States. So that's how Vista was formed. I love this picture of John F. Kennedy. He's campaigning in Logan, West Virginia. It's one of my favorite pictures, and I put it in my office. So Vista was started to address the war on poverty. And so here's some really cool old posters from when Vista started in the 60s that kind of gives you a good idea of what the program was about. And what happened was John F. Kennedy passed away, and then Lyndon B. Johnson started the first AmeriCorps Vista class. So he had this really cool remark, and it stands true all these years later. It said your pay will be low, the conditions of your labor will often be difficult, but you will have the satisfaction of leading a great national effort, and you will have the ultimate reward, which comes to those who serve their nation and serve their fellow man. So that just gave me goosebumps because it's still true today. And that's the backbone of AmeriCorps, and what it's really all about is giving people the opportunity to serve their country. And then for us, specifically, West Virginia. So many of the first VISTA members, the Volunteers in Service to America, they served in Appalachia. They would do things like mentoring students or educating communities on Black lung. I bet you'd be surprised to hear about that. In the 60s, you didn't even know Black lung was a thing. So they would go help with that. And here's a really nice picture of Naomi Cohen. She talks with a resident of Clear Fork and Raleigh County. So if we have anyone in Raleigh County, here's a throwback picture from you. And then if you're familiar with the legacy of national service in West Virginia, you would know that Jay Rockefeller, our senator, moved to Emmons, West Virginia to serve as a VISTA member in 1964. So he's one of West Virginia's famous VISTAs. I like to say all our VISTAs are famous, but he would be the one you would know right away. He actually moved to West Virginia to do a year of public service. He shared a really interesting story that it took him like 4 months before anyone would allow him to come into their home. And when he did, he really connected with the community. So here you can see he's helping a young man read. So I believe he helped students and mentoring. And he loved it here so much, he stayed. And then he became our senator for several years. So he really built his service around VISTA and stayed in West Virginia. And he has a really great thought that if you don't get outside your own box, your own culture, if you don't immerse yourself in someone else's life, then you don't know anything at all. So he's making a great sentiment about AmeriCorps, that it's helping you meet people that you would never get to meet and see them where they're at and really give you some grit and perseverance in your life. So we talked a little bit about the CCC, AmeriCorps' great grandfather, and then VISTA, the first AmeriCorps program. And then it really became an official program in 1994 under Bill Clinton. Previous to that, it would have been VISTA. And that's where we got all the different AmeriCorps programs that we're going to talk about today, whether it's AmeriCorps, NCCC, or VISTA. So he started the bigger program of AmeriCorps. And AmeriCorps has a huge impact in West Virginia. You're probably surprised to know we have 400 service sites throughout the state. And each year, over 3,000 AmeriCorps seniors and AmeriCorps members serve our state, which is wonderful. And with that, it brings in $18 million of funding to West Virginia and $41 million in education awards. So if you serve a year of AmeriCorps service, you receive an education award, which I'm sure some of you on this webinar have received. So it's a great perk of the program. So you might be wondering, where are they in West Virginia? Well, here's a snapshot. It really is the entire state. So this map is on our website. If you're a member, if you want to see where AmeriCorps members are in your community, you can check it out. It's under the Join AmeriCorps section of our website, but you can see it really encompasses the entire outline of our state that we have AmeriCorps members present. And then here is our most recent class picture of all our AmeriCorps state members. From this year, we were in Flatwoods. We do a big training, so you might see some faces you know, or you might even be in this picture, probably. So that was a little bit about the history in West Virginia, just to bring it to context for you, to learn about how national service started and kind of the sentiment behind it. And now we're really going to go into detail about all the different AmeriCorps programs that are available. All right, so let's just start out with the AmeriCorps family tree because it's a little bit complicated. So as you see here, we have AmeriCorps, that's a federal agency where all the money comes from. And then there's all these different programs. So we have AmeriCorps State National and National Direct. And that's the programs at Volunteer West Virginia that we work with. We work with AmeriCorps State. So we grant out all the funding on a state level to programs across West Virginia. And we're a state agency. And if you're wondering why it's like that, AmeriCorps wanted every state to have a state commission like Volunteer West Virginia, so we can grant out the money for local needs because we know what our communities need and we grant it out. So over on the left, you'll see that we help with the AmeriCorps State and National Direct programs. And then further down the line, we have AmeriCorps Vista and AmeriCorps Seniors. And we're going to explain those programs to you today. And those are managed at the AmeriCorps regional offices, and our office is based out of Pennsylvania, and that's who we work with, and that's the federal office. And then lastly, we have AmeriCorps NCCC, and that is also a federal program, and they have 4 regional campuses across the country, and that's the program I was in. So you can kind of take a second and just get a glimpse and understanding of how these programs work, and then we're going to explain them a little bit more to you now. So if you're wondering where AmeriCorps members serve at, they serve at nonprofits, schools, and government agencies. So if you're a part of this group, an AmeriCorps member could potentially serve at your organization. And then I know we talked a lot about West Virginia, but I just wanted to zoom out and show the big picture of how AmeriCorps is helping the entire nation. So you could see their focus areas a little bit closer. You can see that they help with parks. Youth is a really big focus area, whether if you're mentoring the youth or helping with an after-school program. They help 2 million people with food security in the country over the past year, and they serve 245 veterans and military families, and then 143 AmeriCorps senior volunteers serving. So this is the impact on the national level if you're curious on how it works. So now let's talk a little bit more about AmeriCorps State. This is the program that we oversee in West Virginia, and Cameron's going to explain this one for you all.
Yeah, so AmeriCorps State and National, again, those are the programs that Volunteer West Virginia works with. And AmeriCorps State and National members provide direct service. So these are the people who are doing the hands-on things that are going to benefit the community members directly. So sometimes these include preserving historic properties. They're the ones doing the sanding, the painting, whatever it takes to preserve that area. Sometimes they're mentoring youth and providing tutoring or after school educational programs to children. Sometimes they're teaching financial literacy courses to members of the community or helping people with high school credit recovery. And then there's also chronic disease management. So sometimes people are linking community members with different healthcare options that they can use from that organization that they're working with. And these are some of the National Direct programs that we have here in West Virginia. These are the programs that Volunteer West Virginia works with directly. So some of them may sound familiar to you if they're active around your community. And here's some pictures of some of our members doing their direct service. So this is from Preserve, and they are doing a window restoration at Prickett Sport State Park in Fairmont. And then this is Ryan Ewing. This is a LifeBridge member, and he is serving Thanksgiving meals in Wheeling. And here's a great quote from him. He says, "I can't think of a better way to spend today with the people I love and with my community." So again, these National Direct members are doing the things that will directly serve community members, like making and preparing meals, hands-on things like that. And Energy Express, so I talked a little bit about this earlier. I have a personal relationship with this program, but Energy Express is a summer reading and literacy program. It's a 6-week program, and it is free for children to attend, and they serve over 1,100 children across the state each year. And this is a little snippet from our annual report from the 23-24 year. So here's just some stats on the service that our members did across the state. We had over 65,000 healthy meals provided, over 4,000 volunteers managed, over 3,000 individuals that received training in environmental stewardship, 11 historic properties restored, over 18,000 children. We track these numbers every year and we release them in our annual report. We now have our new annual report available up on our website. You can access that. So what do you need to host an AmeriCorps state member at your organization? So your organization is responsible for directing the project that the member will work on and providing them with supervision. So we aren't at your site doing the supervision. That is something that you will have to provide. You'll also be responsible for recruiting your members too. So getting your members to join your organization and selecting them. There's an application process through the AmeriCorps portal where you'll be able to select members. And your program is also responsible for partnering with other programs that share similar focus areas. You'll need to be able to provide administrative support. So this includes things like office space, access to computers for your members to do their work, and members will also get a travel reimbursement from you if any of their service includes travel to different sites. And this last part, you have to provide a cost share. So we call this match. So you need to exhibit that you have the financial capacity outside of the money that AmeriCorps is providing you in order to run your AmeriCorps program. So match are in-kind resources and cash resources that are not from a federal source. So AmeriCorps is going to provide part of that money to you, and then you'll be responsible for matching that other percent with non-federal funds. And AmeriCorps Vista, so this is what I did during my service. I was a Vista. Vista provides what we call indirect service. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means. So indirect service. So these are capacity building activities. So with our AmeriCorps state and national members, they were providing direct service. They were directly working with the community members that are being benefited by their organization. But with AmeriCorps Vista, we're doing what we call indirect service. So we're developing those programs, we're planning those programs, how they will help the community. They also help write grants and help with fundraising to increase the financial capacity of your organization. They facilitate donations too from individuals or other community partners. And they also help develop a volunteer program. So this is what I did a lot as a Vista. I recruited, managed, and trained volunteers, and then those volunteers would then go out into the community and provide the direct service. And then we also, as Vistas, they are responsible for conducting community outreach. So this is getting the word out in your community about your program. This can be the volunteer recruitment, participant recruitment, marketing, things like that. These are all things that Vistas can work on. And here are some of the Vista programs we have in West Virginia. You might recognize some of these logos from the AmeriCorps State and National page where we showed you which programs had state and national members. So your program can host both state and national members and a Vista, depending on what type of service you need, because state and national are doing the direct, Vista is doing the capacity building, the indirect service. So it is possible to have more than one type of AmeriCorps member at your site. So United Way of Central West Virginia, Education Alliance, Conservation Legacy, those are examples of some of our programs that have both state and national members and Vistas. And here is AmeriCorps Vista Morgan Weister. So she has received a $10,000 donation from the Jennifer Garner Foundation. So this is financial capacity building. So she's facilitating those donations from community partners to increase her organization's capacity to help others. And similarly to state and national, the things that you will need to be able to do to host a Vista at your organization, you are still, just like in state and national, you're still responsible for directing and supervising that Vista member, recruiting that Vista member, and you also will need to define and direct project goals that address low-income community issues. So that's a major point of Vista. They have to address low-income areas. You'll also need to, again, provide administrative support, office space, computers, a travel reimbursement, things like that. And again, a cost share or a match is required for a Vista. So you have to use those non-federal resources, in-kind and cash resources, to match a percentage of your AmeriCorps grant.
Thanks, Cameron. You did great. So Cameron has explained the first two branches of our AmeriCorps family tree, which is AmeriCorps State National. That's what we oversee here at Volunteer West Virginia, and AmeriCorps Vista as well. And now I'm going to be talking about the last two branches of the AmeriCorps tree. And then we'll give you how to get connected and answer any questions you might have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about AmeriCorps NCCC. This is the program I did after I graduated college. This program's unique. It's the only program, well, it has an age restriction. So it's for young people aged 18 to 26 years old. And how it works is they join into teams, and the teams have anywhere from 8 to 12 members. And once you form into your team, you travel the country for 10 months. And every month you get a new project and you move somewhere new. So the projects are short-term projects. They're about 3 to 8 weeks. And then it's full-time. So you're serving 40 hours a week when you're in this program. So when you sign up to be an AmeriCorps NCCC member, you're stationed at one of these regional campuses, and that's where you get your training and you form your team. So we have our region that we work with in West Virginia. So if you were to host an AmeriCorps NCCC team, they would be traveling from Vicksburg, Mississippi. We have 2 AmeriCorps NCCC teams in West Virginia right now. Cameron and I are going to go meet one later today. They're in Charleston with Almost Home, and they are helping to convert a gymnasium into housing for women in recovery. So we have a team here right now, and then we're going to have a team in the New River Gorge State Park. I'm not sure if they're here now or they're getting here, and they're going to be helping with trail maintenance. So that's pretty cool. They travel here from Vicksburg, Mississippi. The North Central region, that's where I was stationed. I was stationed in Benton, Iowa. It's a small town, and I went there to receive my training, and then I was deployed to all these states that are in yellow. That's my service area that I would have been deployed to. You also have the Southwest region. This is really popular because your campus would be in Colorado. So that's a popular campus to go to. And then the Pacific region, and that's in Sacramento, California. So I believe when you sign up for this program now, you can pick what region you want to serve at. When I was in the program several years ago, they just sent you somewhere. So they said, girl, you're going to Iowa. And I said, okay, I'm here for it. So that's how that works. Here is an AmeriCorps team that just left Fairmont. They were serving with the Tigard Valley United Way doing tax prep through their VITA program. So this is another example of an AmeriCorps NCCC team that was just in West Virginia a few weeks ago. So what are some of the ways that a team could support your organization? They can do all kinds of really cool stuff. So they can do home construction or repair projects. So let's say you have like a camp in your community that you want to help paint or fix up buildings or start a community garden. They can help with that. They can help with donations management, trail work, and cleanup. So if your community has a trail or you want to build a trail, this is an excellent project for an AmeriCorps team. They help with environmental studies, infrastructure projects, tax prep, and educational programming. So anywhere that you need a team of volunteers to serve full-time, this is a really great fit for you. The cool thing about AmeriCorps NCCC is that there's no cost share required, so they're free. You don't need to share any money to receive this team. The only thing they will need is lodging and a kitchen for the team. And the lodging doesn't have to be very fancy. When I was in AmeriCorps, our lodging was an office building, and we would sleep in the offices. Some of my teammates were even in the executive director's office, and they'd have to move out every morning so she could do her work. And then we would go shower at the YMCA. All that to be said, it doesn't need to be the Ritz-Carlton. They just need a place to stay. And don't let that put you off, because we've had AmeriCorps NCCC teams throughout the state. So if you don't know where to house them, they have a database and they could recommend somewhere that they stayed previously. And then they need a site supervisor. So you would need someone to watch over this team and guide them with their project while they're here for 3 to 8 weeks. And another question that comes up, if you want to like split the team's time with another agency in your community, you can do that too. So let's say you're with the Boys and Girls Club, but you don't think you have 40 hours that they could serve. You could partner with Habitat for Humanity and they could spend part of their time there. So I hope that painted a clear picture about AmeriCorps NCCC. This is really wonderful for all of you on the call because they are accepting concept forms now for this year. So you can see in the bottom of this screen, we're having a round one come up, and that means your concept form is going to be due in April, and then they could serve in August of this year. So take a second and just look at the chart on the bottom of that screen to kind of wrap your head around it. And this is a rolling cycle, so the teams could come every year. They'll be on a similar cycle for what you do. And how it works is you fill out a concept form and then you do the full application. And whenever AmeriCorps and CCC is on this call, they like to say we're the easiest AmeriCorps. So it's the easiest one to get involved with if you're interested in hosting an AmeriCorps member. They make it great for you to host a team. So our contact for this program is Megan Opal. She's our AmeriCorps and CCC contact, and she's with the federal government, and that's who you'd be working with if you wanted to host a team. And she could send you a concept form if you want to host a team. So it's a really great project, and it's totally free. So we talked about AmeriCorps State and National, Vista, and AmeriCorps NCCC, and they all have similar benefits as a member in that program. And Cameron's going to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so one of the benefits is a living stipend. So this is not a paycheck because they're not employees. This is a living stipend because they're doing community service hours. So this is dispensed typically every 2 weeks, just like a paycheck is. And the amount of that living stipend and of the education award, which I'll talk about next, that varies depending on how many hours they serve, right? So if you have a member that's serving 900 hours a year or a member that's serving 1,700 hours a year, that would obviously make a difference in the budget. But it's typically like an hourly wage stipend. It averages out to about $12 an hour is the required minimum that your program is required to offer in a living stipend. The next is a Segal Education Award. So the $7,395, that's the amount for a full-time education award. And then they'll be decreased based on the amount of hours below full-time. So education awards can be used to pay educational institutions directly, or they can be used to pay back student loan debt. So a lot of members work during college with AmeriCorps, and then they use their benefit to pay their tuition as they go. And sometimes we get people after they've already graduated college, but they can use that on their student loans, which is really helpful. There's now a tuition waiver for public colleges and universities in West Virginia. So I think in 2022, the West Virginia legislature created a rule that allows a institution to waive tuition for one semester for every 600 hours of AmeriCorps service that a member does. So if AmeriCorps member serves 600 hours, they can get a form from their organization that certifies that those hours were served, and they can turn it into their college or university, and then their college and university can choose to waive that semester of tuition for that member. So that's a really awesome benefit. And again, that is really helpful for those students who are serving during college. And for full-time members, there's a healthcare coverage benefit and also a childcare benefit. This is only available for full-time members. And another huge plus, another huge benefit is obviously the job skills and career experience that members are going to gain. So as a part of AmeriCorps, being an AmeriCorps program, you have to help educate and train your AmeriCorps member in certain job skills and show that you are able to provide them with support that will help them expand on their skills. So that way, after they get out of the AmeriCorps program, they're going to be able to rely on those skills to obtain a career.
All right, so those are all the benefits for AmeriCorps State and National, AmeriCorps Vista, and AmeriCorps NCCC. And then lastly, we have one more program we're going to share with you all, AmeriCorps Seniors. It's a little different. This is really cool. It's for individuals 55 years and older. They serve in AmeriCorps Seniors. And they have 3 different programs. They have foster grandparents. And in that program, it's really unique. It's seniors serving other seniors. So they help seniors go to medical appointments or grocery shopping, and they just check in on them and see how they're doing. So that's the foster grandparent program. And then we have the retired senior volunteer program, RSVP. They do a little bit of everything in the community. I know in the past they've had a RSVP volunteer at the United Way answering the telephone and greeting people. So they aren't restricted to one focus area. They can help with multiple tasks at your organization. And then we have senior companions, which is helps seniors helping seniors. I'm sorry, I realized I just mixed them up. The foster grandparents, the first one, they serve in schools with children, and they're their foster grannies, and they love them. It's so great when there's a foster grandparent in the school, and they help students with their homework and throughout the day in their classroom. So that's foster grandparents, and then senior companions helps seniors helping seniors grocery shop and go to doctor's appointments. So I flipped those two. So here's just a little bit more about the programs I just shared. I feel like I just said that, but this program's unique because it's for volunteers aged 55 and older. And then here's some of the things that they help in the different focus areas through this program. And then when we send out these slides, you can find an opportunity if you're interested in serving as an AmeriCorps senior volunteer by clicking that link. So you might be surprised to know that over 2,000 AmeriCorps senior volunteers serve West Virginia each year, whether that's a foster granny in your child's school to a senior companion helping your mother-in-law go to the grocery store. They're everywhere in West Virginia. Another great thing is hosting an AmeriCorps senior volunteer at your organization. No cost share required, like what we said, so you don't need to pay any money up front to host one of these members. And if you're curious on how to connect with one of the 3 programs I just explained, you can visit the AmeriCorps Seniors website. They started, and then you're going to contact an area director and coordinator in your region. So they have a beautiful map, and then you just click on the county you're in, and then you'll see who to call, and they can help you get involved with this program. So they'll be able to share organization requirements based on the program you're interested in. So here's just a sneak peek of what the AmeriCorps Seniors website looks like. And this is specifically for West Virginia, and this is going to be how you find a partner here in the state. So we just explained relatively quickly the entire family tree of AmeriCorps. I know it's pretty complicated. It took me several years to understand it. So if you're confused, it's okay. Know that you'll have these slides to reference. So now that you've heard about the programs and you're excited, how can you get involved? So this slide's pretty important. This is all the contact information that you'll need to have. So to be an AmeriCorps member, positions are available throughout West Virginia and the entire country. So you can move somewhere new to be an AmeriCorps member. You're going to search the available positions by clicking that link. It's going to take you to the AmeriCorps website, and I call it an AmeriCorps Google, and you can filter by state or program and see all the open positions that are available. So whenever someone's interested in joining AmeriCorps, I tell them to go ahead and visit that website and begin to see what positions are open in the community that you want to serve, whether it be an AmeriCorps MCCC position or a VISTA position. So that's how you're going to become an AmeriCorps member. You're going to visit their website. To host an AmeriCorps member, you can contact me. I like to joke that I'm a matchmaker. So I will listen to what kind of help you would need and do my best to match you with an organization in West Virginia. So you can receive an AmeriCorps member through them. So that's how it kind of works. We grant out the money to about 10 different AmeriCorps programs in the state, and that's who you'd be receiving your AmeriCorps member with, and it would fall under one of their focus areas. To host an AmeriCorps MCCC team, you're going to contact Megan Opal. And like I said, that's a rolling cycle. So you can jump on one of those cycles to get a team to come to your organization. She's wonderful to work with. And then to host an AmeriCorps senior volunteer, you're going to contact the area director and coordinator in your region. And that's the website I just gave you a little sneak peek of. And that is AmeriCorpsSeniorsWV.gov. And then you can see who can help you with that. And then if you want to dream big and start an AmeriCorps program in West Virginia, we will stay tuned for AmeriCorps planning grants in 2026. So if you want to start an AmeriCorps program, put that on your radar for next year. And what that would mean is you would have an AmeriCorps program with 5 to 10 AmeriCorps members, and you would be managing it. So that's how you get involved with all the AmeriCorps programs in West Virginia. So this will be a helpful slide for you to have. And then I would be curious to know one thing you learned today that surprised you. You can share that in the chat box if you want. It might be that there's so many AmeriCorps programs in West Virginia, or the number of AmeriCorps programs. We always like to say AmeriCorps is West Virginia's best kept secret. So I'm sure something surprised you today. And then lastly, we're going to open up the line to see if you all have any questions. So this is a small group. You can unmute yourself and ask your question, or if you want, you can put it in the chat box and I'll read it for you. So I'll give y'all just a second. We have a new message. Oh, thank you. Betsy said, thank you for the great overview. I knew a little and I've learned a lot. That's what we want to hear. And then Joyce shared that she learned about an AmeriCorps NCCC and senior option. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Joyce. Aw, thanks, Dale. He says, nothing surprises me with Volunteer West Virginia. You all are always awesome. Thanks, Dale. He's one of our AmeriCorps members, and he was on our advisory team, and now he's program staff for Education Alliance. So we love working with Dale. It's good to see you. All right, so it sounds like everyone's just saying thank you. I'm glad we did such a good job explaining the programs. I'm going to be sending out these slides in a few minutes, so if you have any questions, you can write me back. And thank you for sharing your time with us today on this beautiful day. And
Dana, can we ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in my 3rd year of LifeBridge, and we were just notified about the I don't want to say restrictions, but the whole no more than 2 years or up until 2 years full time or 2 grant to getting your education awards, etc. I did not know what seniors did or Vista, so I've learned all that. But the information we received in writing, according to the new law, is there's no limit on the number of terms an individual may serve in AmeriCorps. However, I don't know, is this the appropriate place to ask you these things?
I will take this one for you, Deborah. You can, so the streams of service are separate. So the program with LifeBridge is state and national, but you could absolutely serve with Vista or with AmeriCorps Senior, and that rule doesn't impact either of those programs.
So I can now apply for Vista and seniors?
Yep.
And that doesn't come out of my 2 years with AmeriCorps.
Yep, they're separate programs. So that rule's only for AmeriCorps State and National. You can be a part of any of the other ones.
So Vista and the others are not state and national?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a stipend that goes along with the senior corps?
It's much smaller than the AmeriCorps stipend, but there is one, yes.
There is something, but no medical, no anything else, right? Nothing like LifeBridge.
Yeah, it's not the same, but Vista would have a stipend and health insurance.
Okay. Vista, I didn't know there's like a behind the scene as opposed to actively with LifeBridge, you're actually servicing the community one-on-one or whatever. So some of these applications for like Vista and other programs need to be done now for the new term, or When does their term start? Do all AmeriCorps ones, other than that last one, do August and kind of
No, they
end
all have
in?
rolling start dates. So I'd encourage you to go on the website and look for something that matches up with the timeline for you.
And if it starts before the end of LifeBridge,
That's
my
a
term with
conversation for you to have
LifeBridge,
with Mindy.
pardon me?
That's a conversation for you to have with Mindy.
Well, they're just so much that we're, it's too much. All we know is it's ending for third year, no fourth year, second year, they're not going on, etc. So it's like, where do we go? Go to Vista, go to this, but no help and understanding of how to get that done. I didn't even know what Vista actually did. I didn't know they weren't in programs like I am now with where I'm serving. So we're just all lost. And yeah, there's just a lot of loss for us, and not finding out, your program, LifeBridge, but you don't necessarily know Vista, you don't know seniors, you don't know the other stuff out there.
Yeah,
And I
well,
want to
Dana
continue.
showed you the family tree, and it is a little bit kind of organic and disconnected. So unfortunately, you do kind of have to connect with individual organizations. So I know Dana and Cameron always do their best to try and simplify it, but it is a little bit complicated, unfortunately.
So it's all under the same website when I apply for LifeBridge
Mm-hmm.
as everything else.
Yes.
I needed a lot of help doing that when I did it the first time. So, all right. Well, I'm glad because this gave me a very good understanding of I still like working with the actual people and the clients and everything else. So, all right. We'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, check out the Vistas. And if you find one you like, you can apply. You can always tell that program I'm ending with LifeBridge in August. Can I start later? So don't let that deter you. Betsy, did you have a question? I saw you unmuted.
I have a question and I have a comment. So when we get off, I'm going to go to the AmeriCorps senior site. Do you apply to be a program? Or are you applying to be involved with that? That's option, item number one. My second item is in response to the lady that just spoke. I'm up here in Hardy County, and we participate with the Region 8 Planning and Development Council, and there are councils all over the state. And different councils have what's called a CSEP program, which is a senior employment service program. That might be something to look at to see if there's one down in your area.
I've done 4 to 5 years over COVID, etc. I started in Tennessee, so I've been through that program. I'm learning a lot.
Okay.
Thanks,
So,
Thank you, though, for the suggestion for other people too.
okay, like on the senior, so would it have like the same time frame that was listed in the previous slide, that there are times, or is it a rolling application?
It's a little bit different. It's a rolling application. And then, Betsy, I wish I knew who was in your region, but when you pull up that map, you'll see a contact there. And then you can meet with them about hosting an AmeriCorps senior if that's what you're interested in. And they'll be able to give you a little bit more detail about that. But they're all wonderful. We have several coordinators throughout the state. So my advice to you would be to go to that website, click on your county, and then contact those contacts so they can give you the details.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, we appreciate it. If anything comes into your mind after today's call, send me an email and I'll see you all next week. Bye. Or
Thank you
next
so
month.
much.
Bye.